Howdy, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Garage Party. And on today's episode, more stuff with the 5.0. So in the last one you saw all of the bottom end stuff going, so pistons, crank, that's about it. Rings, bearings, that stuff. And in this episode you'll be seeing more stuff go on, like the oil pan, brand new oil pan. Whenever I get a gasket for it, because I don't know what happened to, if there was one that he had for me, I don't know where it went, because I checked the car, still haven't found it, so I'll probably have to order one. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so it is the next day. I got the parts I need: oil pan gaskets, dowel pins, and freshly painted brackets. One thing I noticed though is I still can't put the oil pan on yet until I get a new timing cover, because that one is actually cracked and broken. So I need a new one of those. I need to go through everything and find a front main seal for that and a rear main seal for that, which I'd assume would be in the car somewhere, but I have yet to find it. So if not, I'll have to get those on ordered when I do the timing cover as well. So yeah, that will all still be done in this episode, I'd like to do. But what I can do for now, until I get those parts, are the cylinder heads. I can do the cylinder heads, camshaft, timing chain, sprockets and everything, lifters, push rods, all the other fun stuff. So I think basically what I'll be doing is just the rest of it for the most part. And then once it comes time, we'll do, the fun stuff like the intake, everything else. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, get everything prepped, get the dowels in. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into putting the cylinder heads on. Okay, so I don't remember where I left off, but I got the sealant and everything. There's assembly lube that already came with the other box. All of the head bolts, I thought they were studs, but no, they're bolts. The washers and everything. Everything I need. Now it's just time to put the heads on. The head gaskets that we are using are Felpro ones. Yeah, these are old as hell. I don't know when he got them, but they're old. I wish they had a manufacturing date, because that would be kind of cool to see, but they don't. But they're just two Felpro gaskets. So yeah, that'll be good. Okay, now with the heads in place and the bolts all hand started in, and the ones that go into water jackets have thread sealant on them, and the blind ones have ARP assembly lube. Whenever you do this, if you have OEM head bolts, obviously you should follow the OEM torque specs. These ones call for, if you use the correct lubricant and thread sealant, to do 60, it's 60 or 65, I'll have to look at the paper again, wherever I put that. but it calls for 60 or 65 foot-pounds on all of them, but in the OEM torque sequence as they're supposed to be. If I used 30 weight motor oil, which they also say you could do, then it would have been 80 or 85 foot-pounds in the same sequence. But since I used the correct stuff, I'm going to go ahead and do the 60 foot or to 65 foot-pounds. I'm going to have to look up the sequence on what order to do it. I'm going to go and find that out and torque the heads down. Okay, and just like that, all the head bolts are torqued, heads are on officially, and not coming off again. Next step is camshaft, lifters, push rods. So I think I'll go ahead, get a lot of lubricant on those bearings, get some assembly lube on the camshaft, and we will stick the camshaft in. This is exciting stuff. Okay, I got the bearings inside, lubricated, I sprayed some stuff on it. Next step is to put the camshaft in. Now, the way this one that I'm putting in is the factory one, nothing exciting, but it's okay. We get all the assembly lubes on it, and we'll get her in there. I think it'll be just fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's still a good cam. It's just the factory cam. So I'm gonna get some stuffs on it, and we will stick her in the block. All right, we got like 1030 oil on it, along with assembly lube. Gotta stick her in. There we go. But I got it in anyway. Now that the cam's in, that means I could put the lifters in. But I think before I put the lifters in, I think I'll do the gears. I'll get it timed and everything and set up correct. I'm gonna go to the book for that. Okay, so I figured out the timing marks. They are right there. So it's pretty simple. Basically, this keyway has to be up at 12 o'clock, and the top gear, wherever the mark is, has to be at 6 o'clock. So it's pretty obvious. They should have dots on them and everything, make it easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this cover on, and then get the gear on, and then make sure to time it correct. I'm not too sure, but it probably is a setup where you have to put it on together. So there's an arrow on it here. Actually, no, not the arrow. Don't listen to the arrow. Arrow's wrong. There's a dot on it right there that goes. All right, so it'll sit something like that, while the crank will sit about so right about there is where they should both be together. Because that's straight at 12, that's straight at 6. Okay, so it is going to be where you have to basically put them on together, but at least it's in time, so it shouldn't be horrible. And about like that, it's in time. Chains on. It seems a little loose. Like really loose. But it is now the cam and the crank now spin together. And with every one spin of this, one full rotation is 2 rotations of that. So now that that's together, we can see about throwing the valve train in. Okay, as you saw in the last clip, got the entire valve train on. So everything's torqued to spec. All of these, according to the manual I have, you don't have to set the valve lash. You just make sure that these are closed, that the valves are closed, and then torque it down from 18 to 25 foot-pounds. I did 22, and everything seems to hold just fine. Rotates beautifully. I also have a new timing chain on it. Next step is throwing the intake on. I had to order up some intake gaskets, which I have in a box that is sitting over there. I also do have now the timing chain cover gasket, so that's great. So that means I can throw that on, which means I can throw the pan on. So I think I'll start up here first. I get the intake on, I'll set the valve covers on, and then we'll go ahead and do timing cover, oil pan. But yeah, engine's basically, it'll be complete, virtually complete today, which is exciting. I also, these are the shorty headers that are going on it. They're BBK shorties for it. I just have them, as you can tell, just mocked up because I did put everything up top on just because I wanted to see how it looked, and it's pretty. Now it's time for the almighty fancy Cobra intake, which I believe I showed in the first episode of this series. This intake, it's a genuine Cobra intake, which is really cool because it says Cobra on it. And it's better for ponies, horsepower. So now I'm gonna go ahead and slap this thing on. Then I think it'll be time to put the cover on, the timing cover, and then the oil pan. Okay, oil pan is finally on. It took me a while because things didn't want to line up, but it's on. That's all that matters. It's on now. It looks like a complete motor. I think to finish off this episode of engine, gonna put the nice new Fumoco water pump on. Which will sit like that. Obviously there's a few other things that I still have to get on, like the harmonic balancer, which I might also do. So I think out of the entire accessory drive, the only two things I will be doing outside of the car is water pump and harmonic balancer. So that being said, let's go ahead. I'm gonna get this opened, that's on, and then the new harmonic balancer also on. Alright, and just like that, the rest of the engine is basically complete, and it is ready to go back in the car. I am still waiting on exhaust manifold gaskets and stuff. Other than that, it's ready to drop in. Once those come, I'm going to throw them in, probably off camera, no big deal. You see how it looks pretty. So, that being said, since the motor is complete and ready to go back in, just about, the accessory drive obviously is not on. The water pump is just kind of hanging here. It's got like 1 or 2 bolts in. I have to figure out the rest of how the bolts go in it. But I think I have to do that once it's in the car because I want to do the accessory drive probably when it's in the car. But I don't know just yet. We'll decide. So that means this episode is over. But that also means the next step for the Mustang isn't actually installing this. This is ready to go in, but the car is not ready. Because what I want to do next is everything else. All the rear suspension, fuel tank, and everything else. So this has a little while to wait until it gets thrown in the car. So in the next episode, it will be tearing apart the rear suspension and dropping the fuel tank. That being said, I hope you enjoyed, and especially if you did, I hope you like, subscribe, comment, or whatever. I can't tell you what to do, but it would be cool if you did. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.